Hey guys, for OS and VTXreviews.com, we have a retro review of the Tiger Electronics Hasbro ChatNow system, which is a walkie-talkie enabled communication service that's designed and meant to be used for teens and children. And it was very interesting because Tiger Electronics and Hasbro is definitely one of those brand names that's produced a lot of stuff, including the mini boomboxes of the past and a lot of children's toys and stuff that, for the most part, haven't been superbly impressive or superbly successful. But their gadgets are always pretty interesting to take a look at because they are pretty cool and they are innovative in a sense, I suppose. The ChatNow system was a series of communication tools that came in different form factors. The one that we have today is the cell phone form factor, which actually looks like a real cell phone because it flips open. Now, Tactile Electronics also manufactured a version that was a slider form factor to simulate a version kind of like a Sony Walkman phone where it slides open to reveal the D-pad. What these devices wanted to do was wirelessly have the ability to basically use walkie-talkie technology and talk to each other. However, it could also send text messages to each other units, and it can also take pictures with the built-in 0.3 megapixel VGA camera. So it had a few features. Now, it didn't have any games. It doesn't have a color LCD display. It's monochrome. But for what it promises to do, it actually doesn't do too terribly. Now, the ChatNow system cost $100 when it came out, and it came in pairs of 2. So you could give one to your children, and you could use one, or give one to your friend, or keep one. Now, in today's standards, these are going to cost less than $50. So it is something that, if you're still interested, you can definitely take a look at because they're not very expensive. Now, let's take a look at the hardware first. It is superbly thick, I have to say, so it's one of the most bulkiest devices I've actually seen. Even as a toy, it has a huge size and footprint to it, which is not good. You can pretty much only fit this in your hand. You can't slide this in the pocket very easily. On the front, though, you have these snappable and actual interchangeable faceplates, which you can customize with different colors and patterns, and these are made out of plastic and pretty easy to get off. So on the top, it does reveal some the camera on the front. Under the ChatNow logo, you have access to the camera lens as well as a front-facing camera mirror. And we also have access on the right-hand side, a 2.5mm headphone jack. On the top is going to be a flashing LED indicator to indicate when you have new text messages or whatever. And on the top, we also have a lanyard cord. On the left-hand side, we have a push-to-talk walkie-talkie button, and it has a very long antenna that's also embedded with the ChatNow logo. On the back is where your battery is going to fit in. It takes AA batteries, and it takes 4 of them, so it's going to definitely be a battery drainer if you are concerned with that. Now, flipping the device open, you'll reveal a very, very small screen for the size of this huge device. The screen is positively tiny, but it does display things fairly well even under direct sunlight. So the basic navigational controls are navigated through this 4-way D-pad and an OK button. You also have an on-off key and a cancel key, as well as a T9-style keypad on the bottom. A thing you will notice, though, is the buttons are raised above the surface, so it makes them really easy to dial and feel by touch. So that's something that's good, I guess. Really tactile. And you have the microphone down here. So navigational system is very, very simple. You basically have access to chat, call, text, photos, list, personal, customize, and volume. Now, the first feature, which is a chat feature, is basically a walkie-talkie service. You can you can choose different channels to receive different messages from, kind of like Nintendo DS systems, where you create a chat room, and you can go from channel all the way from 14 all the way down to 1. So you have 14 channels to select from, and when you receive a signal with your friend using another ChatNow system, you can just talk to them by pressing the talk button, kind of like a walkie-talkie. Now, the call feature is a little bit more sophisticated and actually complex. It's also more interesting. It actually simulates a real cell phone's ability to call people and receive calls on the other end. So you can type in your buddy's number. It's very interesting. It uses a 10-digit system. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's just say my buddy's number is 1 to 10. Now each device comes with its own unique number that you will have to remember. So let's say I call someone like this, and I say, okay, it will display the calling key, and then if I really had someone that had this number, they would receive it, and then we could talk like a real phone, and then hang up. So only 2 people can hear the conversation. Now with the chat feature that I recently just showed you a few moments ago with the walkie-talkie feature, The chat feature actually is like a walkie-talkie where everyone with a receiver in the channel will hear you. So it's more of a broadband service that everyone can hear in a group. But call is a more small and limited service. The next feature is going to be text, which means it's just text messaging. Like I can write a few text messages. There's like presets that you can choose from that it's been typed for you. Like hello, where are you? Call me ASAP. Let's just say call me ASAP, and then you can edit this like using the keyboard itself. Like say Ed, say, or else you say Dan, I guess. Call me ASAP, and let's go with a space. The space button is down here. So then we can send our message, hopefully, to someone else. Now, how you send the message is you press OK, and then you can have the ability to add a symbol on here, and you can choose from a list of emoticons, which is pretty cool. You can choose a smiley face, and then we can delete the symbol, or we can choose to send the message or save it as a draft. So we can send it to a number, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then this person will receive the message. Here's the sending animation of a mail, and that person receives the message, and you're ready to go. And like he said, it's kind of like it's like an email client where you can also save your messages. So the message in this case was not sent. You can also view your saved messages. You can view your inbox, which is the ones that people have sent you. Your outbox are the ones that you have sent already. So here's some I've sent. And it also includes ones that you haven't sent yet but saved into the device's memory. Another thing to note, the speaker itself is located on top of the display on this model. So the call feature actually works pretty well, as you might expect, but it's definitely walkie-talkie quality, which means there's going to be some static, and it's not going to work as clear as a cell phone will. But that's to be really expected. And at the end of the day, for under $100, even when it came out, this was a really cool solution for kids to call each other in a more closer environment. So you don't have to actually get in a cell phone that will cost monthly fees or anything like that if they do a lot of chatting with their buddies or friends. In addition, it had not a bad range. It actually had a range of around let's see if I have this correct. Yes, it had a range of around 5 miles. So you could actually call people within a nice space. In terms of the actual testing, it wasn't as large as 5 miles when we were testing it, but that's to be expected because I think 5 miles means in a distance where there isn't any houses or things. But still, you can definitely call your friends and neighbors really easily with this handset and without having to spend any extra subscriptions or service fees outside of the box. Now, photos means that you can shoot photos again with the camera, and let's take a look at an album. You can store up to 30 images that you can take and shoot. It comes preloaded with a few images. For example, let's browse through some of the images that you can take with these. Again, the resolution on these cameras isn't very good, but still you can get a general idea that quality is acceptable. It's, of course, a VGA-style camera, and it's definitely in monochrome black and white because of the screen here. But it's pretty fuzzy, but still it's definitely readable, and it's another fun feature. Now, the thing you can do that's special about this handset is you can actually send photos to one another. Like with an album, I can actually send an album to someone else. Let's just say that. Let's go back, and I can shoot something, and I can actually send this image over to someone else's number using a text message-like service where I press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, a 10-digit number, and then it will send to someone else. Let's see if we can do that. Not really exactly. And then you can just save to Buddy, and then I can say yes, and I can save that to our list, and I can send that list over once I'm finished with creating how many images I want to send over. So that's fairly easy to use. Again, you have your list to view your different lists of stuff to send over. You also have a personal feature which has your personal information on here, like your name. You can set your name here, your buddy number. You also have your birthday, so your age on here. You can also have customize this device in particular, which means you can set the ringtone to different rings, and you can hear that right now. So those are different features and different selections. You also have a text alert for a different ringtone for that, a screensaver, which you can choose between different ones. For example, if we choose retro, This is the circle one, and after a few minutes of idle usage, it will go into this screensaver. This is the circles one. I think the circles one looks the best, actually. It looks pretty discreet and pretty good. So you can choose that one. You also have the contrast, and you can set the time and date, and the battery to tell you how much of the battery is left. In this case, we have half of the battery left in the model, and you can set the system to default by erasing all previous information. And that's pretty much everything that you really need to know. And you also have a volume control on the bottom to control the volumes of the speaker. Now, in terms of actual performance, like I said, this device actually functions fairly well if you use it as it is advertised. Text messaging and things are pretty rapid, and the keyboard isn't bad. It uses predictive text when you're texting your messages, so it doesn't take that much time to get your messages down and to send them across. Also, the keyboard is pretty tactile. Also, calling quality wasn't as bad as we suspected it would be, so if you're in a close range, using this device isn't a bad idea if you have friends that you want to chat with in your neighborhood for long times. Now, on the downside, again, this device is extremely bulky. Also, the battery life is really short. In addition, the screen is pretty small. And as you can sometimes see, there is a little bit of a line on here, which means there is definitely an issue with the build quality. Even though it's made out of plastic, even though its device is really large, the hinge mechanism isn't very solid. So if you drop this or something, you can expect some images and some stuff to happen to the screen, and some images and some problems start happening to your device. So the build quality is also not superbly strong. But overall, it does work as advertised, and it is pretty interesting to take a look at this, which is an alternative to a cell phone, except it doesn't have any, it doesn't cost any money right after you take the device out of the box. So it's cheap, it's inexpensive, and yeah, it also has a twist to it. It's not just a walkie-talkie. You can send messages and call people. So that's just a retro look back at the ChatNow system by Tiger Electronics and Hasbro. So it's a very interesting concept, and in this particular instance, it's actually one of the better devices from Tiger and Electronics because, yeah, it's one of those devices that might still have a market in today's standards. So thanks for watching this retro review here at osandvtxreviews.com. That was a look back at the ChatNow system.